Johnny. We got it. Yeah, I just,
Good evening, softball fans, and welcome back inside Van Imp Stadium at Gordie Howe Sports Complex. Kyle Smith, Chris Abbott here with you on Softball Premier TV at the 2025 Super 8 International Softball Four Nations Cup as we get prepared for our second game tonight, Chris, and it is the home team, the New Zealand Black Sox, taking on the visitors, the United States. What pairs to be an entertaining nightcap here on day number one.
Well, Kyle, I'm just excited about the next 10, 12 days we have ahead of us of softball because, listen, you got the top 8 teams in the world coming to town in Prince Albert for the World Cup. You got 4 of those teams right here in Saskatoon, and there's no gimmies. There's no easy games. Every game is on the marquee, and this game is no different. The U.S. going with their A lineup tonight to kick off the pre-tournament.
There you see the batting order for Team USA. It's Jeff Lewis, the designated player, who will lead things off. Eric Ochoa, the first baseman, bats second. Blaine Milheim, third baseman, batting in the 3-hole. Cam Schiller bats fourth. Jonathan Lynch is batting fifth. Six-hitter Tyler Johnson, he'll patrol out in right field. The catcher Nick Mullins bats seventh. Speedy Yusuf Davis will bat eighth. And batting ninth is Zach Shaw. Defensively, for New Zealand, it looks like this. Thomas Inoka left field. Tikanika Cooper Nicola will play in center. Benny Inoka shifts over to right field. Reese Evans over at third base. Cole Evans is at short. Dante Makia Matakatia is the second baseman tonight, and Jerome Raimaki is that first. Tuerta Bishop behind the plate, and Ben Watts gets the start tonight for Thomas Makia, the head coach. And Chris, Ben Watts, a late addition after Daniel Chapman had to withdraw from the squad in preparation as he gets the start tonight, making his debut for the senior club.
Thrown right into the fire, there's no doubt about it, against this strong-hitting American squad. Sun is just setting here in Saskatoon. You can see right there the last remnants of it are going down behind the buildings off to the left side of the park, and hey, why not? At the end of the day, this game, win or lose, means nothing, and you want to see what you got. Pitching is paramount in this sport. We all know that, and if you're new to the sport, well, if you don't have a pitcher, you ain't winning. It's kind of like if you don't have a quarterback, you ain't winning in football. You don't have a goalie, you're not winning in hockey. So we'll get a good look at what he has to offer on the mound for them tonight.
I think this one contrasted to our last one, though, Chris, how we expected some changes. I think New Zealand, as I saw on Monday night, they are going to get their guys in the game and get some action. Already down in the bullpen is Liam Potts. It's, as we said on the podcast interview today, it's Potts, Watts, and Rona, the lawyer group, that are the pitchers for New Zealand. But we're just about ready to go. It'll be Jeff Lewis who will lead things off here for the United States. And Chris, we talked about it. It's all about getting the reps in lead up to Tuesday. And for the United States, this is their first action here in Saskatoon.
Last time we saw this American team was at the group stage they hosted in Oklahoma City. They ran the table there, and they looked very, very strong, and in my mind, one of the contenders as we go to Prince Albert on Tuesday.
Watts comes set, works to the outside for ball one. We're underway here on Softball Premier TV. Glad to have you along for the nightcap of game number 2 here at the Four Nations Cup. We'll be here from start to finish with you all week. Hope you spend some quality time with Chris and I as that one splits the middle for strike one. So battle back. And there you see Chris coming in and getting the assignment from the signals of Tuerda to Bishop. Then everybody retreats back to their position. And that ball gets fouled out. You'll see that from this Black Sox team. Everybody in, everybody out, getting the signals to know what's coming. You see cards in their hand to get the pitch selection.
Be interesting to see how this strategy works for them when we're playing with the pitch clock. But it certainly is different. It's new. It's distracting.
Watts works to the outside for a ball. It's kind of the similar situation, you know, you've seen them go to the wristbands, call out the signs, and everybody back. This time it's card in hand, get the signals. That ball lifted out straight away center field. You can say goodbye, home run for Jeff Lewis. Split it down the middle, and he sent it yonder. 1-0 for USA.
Well, Jeff Lewis picks up right where he left off in Oklahoma City, and that's creating offense for the team at the top of the order. I talked about it coming in. This is a good hitting American team, and I'm sure Lewis is thinking, what was the sign for that one? What did your card say about that? Home run.
He didn't miss, and it left in a hurry. Knew it right off the bat. And now hard-hitting Eric Ochoa batting second in this lineup. Here you see a little bit of a different alignment. Chris, we'll talk about this as that one punches the ticket on the right side of the plate. Reese Evans went over on the right side of the infield, so they went 3 heavy across the infield. Now this time staying over here. And called for a strike. You want to talk about getting your steps in. New Zealand is going to do that.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to be playing infield for this team, but it's interesting to me. It's also, you could be tipping off the hitter. Like if you put 3 guys on one side of the field, are you expecting a changeup to be pulled over there? That's, or is it all just a misdirection and a magic show? I'd love to learn more about the strategy behind it all. Because this certainly is something that we've not been exposed to. So
talking to Bevan Matney, the team delegation leader on Monday night when they were doing it, it was all about just knowing what pitch is coming and not having your catcher give away pitch location until late in the movement. As Evans, as we've seen him do, Reese plays as good a third base as anybody. He's across the diamond in time for the first out.
And after all that, it is still the game of softball. So we got a drop ball on the outside of Choa. One hopper coming across Evans. Perfect throw right at the chest level of Ray Mackey.
If nothing else, it's going to keep you engaged, right? We talked about in that first game how Devin McCullough was just dicing everybody, retiring 11 in a row. This time they go 3 heavy on the left side of the infield. Swing and a miss on a little twirl working away from Blaine Milheim.
Yeah, it's interesting, and that pitch was outside. You put 3 guys on the left side of the field, then you throw a pitch outside, and
goes against everything that you'd think you'd see coming, right?
Yeah, so that's confusing, sure, but at some point, I think teams will get used to it and do what they've always done, look for their picks on the pitcher, try to pick up the ball coming out of the hand, and if you leave yourself shorthanded on one side of the field, that's a choice you make defensively.
Watts. That one skipped into the dirt and got away from Bishop behind the plate. If you're getting in late, it was a leadoff shot by Jeff Lewis to make it 1-0 here in the top half of the first inning. 1 ball, 2 strike count here to the hitter, Blaine Milheim. And this is a guy, Chris, for the USA that is going to be a stir-the-drink guy as that ball gets lifted up over into right center. And Cooper Nicola under it, leaping, jumping, falling, but maintaining the catch as that wind swirling a little bit out in center.
Yeah, the wind has been blowing hard, and we have seen the high pop-ups and fly balls have been a challenge. And Cooper Nicola does a good job to adjust and come down with this. Sometimes you get out there, and if you're in the wrong spot, you can really lose your bearings, but he did a good job to stay with that.
So Tuerta to Bishop out to the mound. Daryl Helmer joins the conversation. Brings him back, and 2 down, but it's Milheim and Schiller who are going to be the offensive guys for the U.S. that really gets this engine going. As that one outside misses.
Yeah, no real soft spots in this American order, though. I mean, you look to the number 3 and 4 hitters, Milheim and Schiller, but, I mean, Lynch was a one-man wrecking crew in Oklahoma City in the group stage. And on down the line, you know, anybody in this order can change the score with the one swing of the bat.
That one paints the corner for called a strike. And to the edge again, called for a strike. Schiller, little shake of the head in disagreement, but the count goes 1 ball, 2 strikes.
And I think that's a great pitch by Watts, and see what you can get away with out there. And it's a perfectly placed drop ball. Hard for Schiller to do any damage out there.
That lifter gets fouled up. Watts on the weekend had a tough time getting loose in the one game. No worse for wear here, but a home run has it 1-0. Driven in the ground, it's a foot race, and it's Makia Makatatia who gets there in time. So 3-4 ends the inning.
Yeah, this is a tough play all around. Ramaki has to wait for the ball to come down to him and then give a perfect toss into space. And just a half step ahead coming over to cover is Makia Matakatea. And he gets the job done.
Don't forget to purchase your tickets for tonight's 50-50.
Back with you here in the bottom half of the first inning. Kyle Smith, Chris Abbott with you on a picture-perfect Thursday evening. We will look at the New Zealand batting order here as they get set for the bottom half of the first, trailing 1-0. It's Benny Noka who will lead things off, followed by Titikeka Cooper Nicola batting second. Riley Makia, the DP tonight, he bats third, maybe one of the hottest hitters in the game right now. Cole Evans bats fourth, plays at short. Thomas Noka bats fifth. Tuerta Bishop batting sixth. Reese Evans is your 7-hitter. Jerome Raimaki bats eighth. And Dante Makia Matakatia bats ninth. What's New Zealand have in response against the hard-throwing Marco Diaz? It's Jonathan Lynch, Yusuf Davis, Tyler Johnson, left to right across in the outfield. Blaine Milheim and Cam Schiller, third and short. Zach Shaw, the second baseman. Eric Ochoa over at first. Veteran Nick Mullins behind the plate. And hard-throwing Marco Diaz on the mound.
Ben Anoka's been doing this for a long time for New Zealand. Back to 2017 in Whitehorse.
Diaz. Off speed, misses for ball 2. 2 balls and a strike. Canada picked up a 3-1 win over Japan as that ball just foul. But the story of the night so far, Chris, was Devin McCullough, 5 innings of perfect pitching, 11 strikeouts, and set down in row at one point.
Yeah, Devin McCullough was the player of the game for Canada. There's no doubt about it, despite the 3-run home run from Quentin Bruce. That was the offense they provided. They only needed half a run, though, for most of the game, as they were well set up by their starting pitcher.
Fought off on the inside part. That ball going to stay fair, and neat little tag there by Ochoa on Inoka.
Well, that was an interesting one. Normally on the right-handed batters, when they chop this down the first baseline, it skips foul, especially on those inside pitches, but it actually bounced back in toward Ochoa at first, so a fortuitous bounce for the U.S.
Infield drawn in now against Cooper Nicola as he has a tendency to play a little bit of a slap. Draw in Zach Shaw. Of course, if you're familiar with the men's game, you know Marco Diaz and the hard-throwing right-hander. Dipping along at 82 there. Has been as high as 86 on the radar guns of recent memory.
Yeah, it's actually quite remarkable, the velocity that he can fire that ball at.
One hop to second, over to first. Neat and tidy as we work across the diamond, as Riley Macchia now will come to the plate.
One of the things about velocity, Kyle, is that it seems that hitters can always adapt. And that's the second batter in a row, and Cooper Nicola was able to turn on that hard ground ball at the second base.
Well, the other thing is you got to get a little movement to it, right? You can throw hard, but if it's straight, you can time that up for sure. And that one skips in and to the backstop.
Well, Macchia led the team in hitting in Prince Albert last year. Maybe one slight advantage and New Zealand and Argentina will have over some of the other teams is that they've been in Saskatchewan in the last year. And Macchia was 8 for 20. Tops on the team.
He has just carried that forward. Set off the top, not many hotter hitters than Riley Macchia right now as that change misses.
Yeah, the changeup is a super effective pitch, especially when you throw as hard as Diaz does, but the trick is it has to be in the zone.
Yeah. Diaz paints to the corner, called strike 2. 2-2.
And that's what we call a heavy drop ball, Kyle. You can hear it when it hits Nick Mullen's glove. It's like a bowling ball.
Diaz, 2-2. Misses ball 3. 3 balls, 2 strikes.
What we'll say about the top of the order here for New Zealand is they do not look overmatched or nervous to face Diaz.
No, you go up and down this lineup, and just about everybody has seen him once and maybe a couple times now. As that one into the dirt and got a piece of Riley Macchia.
Yeah, we're sitting so close to the home plate area here behind the plate that was hard to tell in live time.
There's some history here with Diaz and New Zealand going back to last year's pre-World Cup event. The qualifier in Prince Albert, they had a similar event here last year, only with New Zealand and then some club teams. It was Diaz coming inside on Jerome Rymaki that ended up breaking his forearm and then ending Rymaki's campaign. One nothing for U.S. as Diaz gets that heavy drop to foul off by Evans. Here's a relative newcomer to the New Zealand Black Sox squad, but a mainstay at this point for the Kiwis.
Yeah, and he plays a fantastic infield as well.
Yeah. The back control there, you saw I choked up a little bit, little half bat drop. Not many better than Cole Evans in the game right now. 2-1. Hard hit ball. Right to Schiller. Flip to second in time. So a couple knocks, but nothing to show for it as we go to the top half of the second. 1-0 U.S. leads. Come back with us to Saskatoon after this. Top half of the second, Jonathan Lynch will lead things off. 5, 6, 7 hitters here due up. And as we march towards beginning of next week, Tuesday in Prince Albert, we focus solely here on this one. And for these two teams, it's a stark contrast. This is the first game of the build-up to Prince Albert for the USA, whereas New Zealand has been on tour here the last 10 days.
Well, that pitch brushed back Jonathan Lynch, who I talked about Jeff Lewis in the group stage. Lynch was just as good. Lewis was 11 for 16, Lynch 10 for 17. Lynch had 10 RBIs in just 6 games.
That last pitch, we could feel the vibrations off the mat in front of us.
Yeah, folks might have heard it, the big boom, as our microphones were about, 3 feet away from that ball.
You can actually see us in the picture now, Chris.
Sorry about that to everyone at home.
Watts. And that one just foul. Not by much, though.
Darryl Helmer, like the cat he is, jumping out to get a read on that ball. And his eyes are better than mine because I couldn't tell.
2-1, and Watts to the outside corner and for a strike 2.
Well, one thing I can say about Watts is he's certainly painting that outside corner on the left-handed batters for the Americans.
Easy pitch for him on the strong side as he comes set 2-2. Swing and a miss. Down on strikes. Bishop got it clean. Lynch saying he didn't.
Well, that's interesting. Lynch is saying that hit the
Ooh.
dirt.
On replay there, that almost looked like it did send some dirt.
There is no replay review here, so the umpires are going to have to get together the old-fashioned way. We will have replay review in Prince Albert, but I'm not even sure if that play would be reviewable. I've got to brush up on those rules before Tuesday.
They are going to stay with the out. So strikeout 2-3. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what is eligible and what's not eligible for review. We'll get those details on Monday at the technical meeting. But that's a very cool innovation added to the World Cup, is having that video review.
Yeah, I had the pleasure of working the WBSC Under-15 Baseball World Cup last year, and we used it there, and it was good. Honestly, it didn't get used as much as you think it would get used, but very similar to what people are used to, a challenge system. Some plays are reviewable, some plays are not. You can't challenge infinitely, so it's a nice add, and it's great that we have the quality of video now at this level to do that.
But if that type of play is reviewable, that would probably be one that you would offer a chance to review it on.
If I'm the U.S., I'm going to
Right.
think about it. Yeah. The other thing is, though, you got to think about when and where to use your reviews. You're up by 1 in the top of the second.
Yeah.
Does that play, where it was kind of inconclusive from what we could see, really lend itself to using a challenge? So you have to be strategic with it.
Our first look at the USA here in the lead-up, as all roads lead to Prince Albert after this weekend. We've got 4 teams here in this event, of course, Four Nations Cup, proudly sponsored by Super 8 on Circle Drive here in Saskatoon. And to the outside for strike 2 here to Tyler Johnson. But we talked about it. Do we see a few more substitutions in this game, get a few more guys some reps, or is it kind of status quo like we saw in the first game as that ball gets fouled off?
Whoa! We nearly had a collision down the first base line.
Player and coach as Craig Hicks goes for a tumble.
He was out of the coach's box, too. So if he gets run over by Ramaki there, it's a bad day at the office.
That ball gets fouled off. That'll be talked about on the club circuit as both guys involved with the Bear Creek Express franchise.
Well, that's a kangaroo court violation right there, especially if you don't come up with the ball.
I don't know about you, Chris, but Ben Watts just doesn't look comfortable on the mound. Taking a lot more time in between. A little bit more labored on that 74-mile-an-hour drop as he's working the mound and circle area. Liam Potts is down in the bullpen. So 1-out walk.
I mean, just looking at that pitch, his landing looks okay. But certainly, we had a long timeout call in the middle of that at-bat as well.
So Nick Mullins gets his first plate appearance. Here's a guy who made the switch from baseball to softball and has flourished in my eyes and just gotten better over these last couple years for Team USA. And man, has he been a stalwart behind the plate.
Well, Nick Mullins is one of these guys, and I don't want to use all my lines early, but maybe we'll have different people watching throughout. But, there's guys who play softball, and then there's ball players. And Nick Mullins is a ball player, and you might have been onto something here, Kyle.
Well, Chub Tangaroa is out to the circle. Steve Deans, one of the assistant coaches on the staff, out and talking with his infield as Chub Tangaroa, the battery coach, legend of the game, Chub Tangaroa in New Zealand. From the pitcher circle, none better than Chub in his day.
Yep, Hall of Famer for sure. And if you're a young pitcher on this New Zealand pitching staff, nobody better to help guide you. And he certainly saw something he didn't like early here in this game.
Very methodical conversation still going on. And I think maybe some of it, Chris, might be just getting them on the same page.
Sometimes, especially with a young pitcher, when you introduce all this extracurricular that's going on with the infield with New Zealand, instead of just getting out there and pitching, that can be a distraction for the pitcher as well. They seem very focused on the signs and the placements.
Diving stop by Evans. Short hop in time at first. I thought that was base hit written all over it, and then Evans reaches back the other way.
Does not get any better than that. Mullins couldn't have hit it any better. And you're right, from our vantage point, looked like it was already out in left field. Cole Evans makes it look easy, beats him by a couple of steps. And that's just premier defense from the New Zealand shortstop.
So 2/3 of the way out of the jam here, and now Speedy Yusuf Davis comes to the plate, the 8-hitter here for Ron Hackett.
Davis struggled at the plate early in the group stage, ended up 5 for 13 with a double, but found himself even out of the lineup for a couple of games. He did find it near the end of the week, though, when it mattered.
That one in for a strike. Watt sets. Rise ball. Misses. One, two. Outside, reaches for it. Evans, backhand, on to first in time. And New Zealand dodges a bullet, gets out, and Watts fights through it.
Yeah, vast difference from what we saw in the opening game. A lot of strikeouts here early. Great defense on both sides of the ball as day becomes night here in Saskatoon.
Welcome to Mont Hill Golf and Country Club. With our beautiful 27-hole golf course open to the public, we work tirelessly to ensure your time with us is second to none. Well, here you'll be able to enjoy an incredible dining experience at our very own Big Pete's Steakhouse. Play some of the best courses in the world with our state-of-the-art golf simulators. Upgrade your gear with the top brands at our pro shop, or host a stunning wedding, event, or conference inside one of our beautiful ballrooms. Learn all this and more at monthill.ca. We can't wait to see you.
First pitch misses for ball one as Thomas Inoka makes his presence at the plate. Here is a true mainstay, veteran of the Black Sox, and quite frankly, Chris, has gotten better these last couple years, both on the club circuit and for the Black Sox.
4 for 16 in the group stage last year in Prince Albert for Thomas Inoka. But yeah, for a number of years now, you can pencil him into that left field spot.
Even can get some pitching time if needed.
I've seen him play all over the field, some infield at times over his career as well.
Quick 1-2. Reaches, punches, falls in for a base hit. Thomas Inoka thought about it momentarily, and he'll retreat back to first base.
That's a real good piece of hitting from Thomas Inoka. Found himself down in the count. Kept it simple. Not even a full swing, but you don't have to when somebody throws as hard as Diaz does. And he deposits a leadoff single into right field.
Well, they say the game is simple. It's only when we get involved that it becomes difficult. As Tuerta Bishop comes to the plate. Here's a baseball turned softball player. Had a cup of tea in the Major League minor system. As Diaz works.
And as it is with plenty of baseball turned softball players, it's there's a lot of power, but there's a lot of swing and miss in the game. He had 7 strikeouts in the group stage to go along with 3 home runs.
Turns to bunt. Hacks at it and threw it for strike 2.
A good Friday afternoon to everybody watching in New Zealand. Getting on the weekend there a little before we are in Canada.
1 ball, 2 strikes. Diaz with it. Coming inside, working left to right. Fouls it off.
You got to like it when guys aren't afraid to work inside. A drop ball inside to tie him up. That's a real nice pitch right there, and there's not much Bishop could do with it.
Have to be willing to claim that inside portion. And as a hitter, you have to stake your claim and fight back. Misses. 2-2.
And to that point, sometimes as a pitcher, that means you're going to hit somebody. And as a hitter, that means sometimes you're going to get hit. But that's all part of the sport.
2-2 count. Misses ball 3, and Bishop has worked himself back in front now. 3 balls, 2 strikes. USA jumped out in front by a solo shot. Bishop got a piece of that and fouled it back.
That ball is still spinning as Eric Ochoa comes to pick it up, and I would presume either the ball or the backstop, or maybe both, have a chunk out of it after that.
He did some damage for sure. As Marco back to work. Lifted again on the right side, foul.
We've got double barrel action in the bullpen for the U.S.
Cody Gibbons and Brad Kilpatrick warming down in the bullpen. Called strike 3 right down the heart. Bishop just looking. One down.
Yeah, nice at bat. And a good job by Diaz. Bishop was looking for something different there. Something else that happened was a big jump by Anoka off first, but he shut it down.
Takes a strike. Evans did some damage back in 17 in Whitehorse. Coming up with some big home runs for New Zealand as they march their way to a title. Have yet to see runner in motion as Evans tries the little half bunt. Quick 1-2 count here. Two and two. Diaz working well here with Mullins. Nick's such a calming influence for his pitchers. That one straight back. I said in the first inning they were making contact. They're doing the same here, just haven't squared anything up. Called strike three. Paint that corner on the inside edge for the second out of the inning.
Yeah, that's a great pitch by Diaz. Evans maybe caught looking out over the plate, but it's caught lots of the inside corner there.
So Jerome Remaki comes to the plate here for New Zealand. Safe to say, would not expect to see Jerome in the 8-hole in a batting order. Thomas is not afraid, Thomas Macchia, that is the head coach, not afraid to juggle his lineup and move guys around. Swing and a miss, off and running, throw into center, and Inoka will scamper up to third as that ball skipped out to center field.
It'll go as a stolen base for Thomas Inoka, and maybe I guess it has to be a throwing error on Nick Mullins.
Yeah, tough play there as Schiller covering the bag.
They kind of got there at the same time, you know, and then you're trying to avoid a collision, and unfortunately the ball goes into the outfield.
Rymaki sends that the other way. That's going to carry, get up, and end in the glove of Jonathan Lynch. Off the bat, thought maybe that was going to carry. But it goes as an out the long way to left field.
Yeah, that kind of sounded dead off the bat to me. I'm wondering if that's the same ball that took a beating throughout the inning, because you're right, it didn't quite have the distance it looked like it might have off the bat, but New Zealand threatens for a second inning in a row, unable to come up with any runs. Off to the top of the third. 9-1-2 coming up for the Americans.
Welcome back into Bob Van Impe Stadium at the Super 8 International Men's Four Nations Cup at Bob Van Impe Stadium in Saskatoon. We've got a pitching change, Chris, as Liam Potts checks into the ball game.
Yeah, the lefty had the most appearances out of anyone on the staff in the group stage in Prince Albert last year, making 5 appearances, 1-1, 8 hits, 1 run, 4 walks, 14 strikeouts, pitched 9 1/3, had a 0.75 ERA. And just unable to get comfortable out there was Ben Watts after giving up the leadoff home run. And he's removed, but also, Kyle, we are under the belief that New Zealand will be planning to do this all week. Couple innings, you're done.
Yeah. Pitch by committee, 2-2-3, 2-3-2. Just a combination of what gets the job done as that ball skips into the dirt.
Well, it's a combination of what gets the job done, and it's also a different look for the batters every time they come up, and that itself is it's just annoying as a hitter. You can't get a look at a guy for the second time.
Potts sends that one in, and a slow roller over to second base. Marakatia sends that one for the out.
Yeah, this one was a slow roller kind of off the end of the bat for Zach Shaw. And again, we're seeing some phenomenal defense on the infield from New Zealand. There's no defense for the home run, though, Kyle, and that's what Jeff Lewis did to lead off this game.
Smooth swinging Jeff Lewis.
I just sent you a text that I got from Brent.
73 on the radar gun from young Liam Potts. Potts just fresh out of the U23 program and staunchly into the Black Sox squad. Playing up on the North American club team circuit. Spins that one in for called strike 2. And what I like about him, Chris, he works with pace.
Well, that's also difficult as a hitter because you can't get comfortable at the plate.
That one falls in off speed. So now this time with the infield coming in to get the sign, they leave the card in their pocket. So that's an interesting development as that one spins away. It's a different look from the left side.
Yeah, and as a left-handed hitter, it's just not something you see very often. You know, people always say, well, right-handed hitters have to face right-handed pitching all the time. Well, that's true, but the vast majority of pitchers are right-handed, so it becomes something a little more normal. When the ball's coming from behind you or you know, from a different...
Called strike 3 on that inside corner, so both pitchers working their way to that inside edge.
Yeah, to finish that thought, you know, the ball's almost coming from behind you, right? And as a left-handed batter, you're used to looking out over your shoulder, not back behind it.
Play him up the middle, does Cole Evans, and re-shifted to the right side. Long swing from Ochoa.
Yeah, Ochoa's not the kind of guy to get cheated on a swing. Never has been. But a changeup can make it look even more exaggerated.
Potts. Tight rise ball. Just a different feel to the game now with Liam Potts in there. A little bit more quick work. Right back to it. To the outside, lifted foul.
And he's getting ahead in counts, Kyle.
Yeah.
What we saw from the starter, Ben Watts, was deep counts, and then you got to work back, and it just puts you on the back foot as a defense.
Fighting an uphill battle. 0-2, fought off. Evans couldn't get to it as it just went out beyond.
Well, you talk about the big swing of Eric Ochoa. He's also a big, strong man. So while many other hitters with this pitch in on the hands will just flare it out to the middle infielders, this one flares over the middle infielders, and he's got a 2-out single.
Just shows how strong he is to battle that one out, too, as now Blaine Milheim comes to the plate.
Well, it was Milheim who hit the fly ball to center and Cooper Nicola, and since that time, Cooper Nicola has been moved into right field. Ben Anoka has taken over in center for New Zealand.
This is the part where that Thomas is not afraid to mix guys up. He, Monday night in the game against Dominican, was moving guys all over the place. Saw Cole Evans play third, second, short, all across the infield. So here he shuffles the outfield. Oh, 2. Straight on back coming at you.
Yeah, I mean, you want to put your guys in a position to succeed, and part of that might be having the calming influence of Ben Anoka in center field. And the other thing might be, hey, we put you in center field. We're expecting you to be able to read these balls. If you make it look a little difficult, then we're going to make a change. And I like that accountability.
Yeah. 0-2. 1 and 2. And, I mean, coming from a guy like Thomas Maki, I mean, he lived it, breathed it, did it.
Until he was a gray hair, still doing it. But, you know, you talk about New Zealand, you talk about the Black Sox, and just the honor and privilege to play for the team. And that comes with a high level of accountability as well.
They expect excellence every time they step on the diamond as the count runs 2-2. And New Zealand, a similar story to Japan as we lay out the nuances of leading into the World Cup next week, Chris. As we said, you could basically pencil them into the finals. The last 2 cycles has not been kind to the New Zealand Black Sox.
Well, and one of the reasons for that has been they haven't been as dominant on the mound. They've always been able to hit. They've always been able to play defense. But we talked about pitching. We'll continue to talk about pitching right until the last pitch is thrown in Prince Albert in a week and a half. But they haven't had that dominant arm. And it's good to see some young guys like Liam Potts getting in there and mixing things up.
Shuffle the deck to the left side into the dirt for ball 4. As Milheim draws the 2-out walk, puts runners on first and second as Cam Schiller comes to the plate. So a big spot here for the USA, Chris, here in the top half of the third.
Lots of pop in the bat for Cam Schiller, but he hasn't, dating back to the group stage, really been able to break out. He had a couple of key hits, but just 3 on the week in Oklahoma City, and now we're going to get conversation.
Potts was the one that initiated it. Get on the same page. Big spot here in the ball game with the 4-hitter at the plate, and then Jonathan Lynch lurking in the on-deck circle.
But a lot of lefties in the middle of this lineup for the U.S.
Well outside for ball 1. Pittarona down in the bullpen. Chris getting loose. And on the plate, fouled off. straight up in the outfield. Thomas and Oka maybe drawn in a few steps in left field. One. Good tight spin on the rise. Swings and misses 1 and 2.
That had a little bit of tail away from Schiller as well. A great location, frankly.
Potts. Breath goes. Roller to Evans. Neat and tidy across the diamond to end the inning. 2 runners left on base. Worked around the single and walk. Bottom of the 3rd, we go next here in Saskatoon. Yep. 9-hitter Dante Manakatia at the plate. First pitch, 2 little hops, and on to first. They're hitting the ball hard, but it's right at him, Chris.
Yeah, Marco Diaz not fooling these Kiwi hitters at all. A sharp ground ball of the sure-handed Cam Schiller. And Schiller's looked good on a couple of plays sent his way tonight.
And in for strike 1. Work ahead. Diaz has been efficient at doing that here. As you talked about earlier. Easier to work ahead than from behind. Punched out on the right side. That's going to tail, work its way to the line. Inoka galloping up into second. He'll get there feet first in front of the ball for a 1-out double.
Ben Inoka never once thought about that being a single as it was tailing away from Tyler Johnson. And right, listen, Johnson comes up and makes a great throw and very nearly gets Inoka. And if that was on, it would have been close. Or caught, I suppose it would have been close. It was on.
So much you see that from this New Zealand team over the years. Put the pressure on by taking the extra bases. As that one busts in for strike 1.
The old high drop ball.
But it's the pace at which they push it sometimes. New Zealand, they're always looking for that extra base. One hop, short hop, on to first in time. Man, Blaine Milheim is smooth as a cat out there.
Man, that was a tough play. Real nice job by Cooper Nicola to put that on the ground. And Milheim, the key there is he gets to it before it bounces again. And a nice job by Ochoa to hold the bag. He's a right-handed first baseman. And that play right there is exactly why you usually see a lefty over there.
So runner at third now. Chance to draw even. That one cuts across above the letters for ball 1. Riley Macchia at the plate here.
Diaz has not been afraid to work Macchia inside here.
No. He works again outside. Misses ball 2.
Second time Diaz has had a great selection as a changeup called by Nick Mullins, but wasn't able to execute. The hard dipper inside gets the blood pumping of Macchia, and then the changeup misses for a ball.
Off speed in for strike one.
And going back to back, that's big boy stuff right there.
Yeah. Seen him at times throw a third one. 2-1. Comes with the hard stuff there. 3-1. And again, Chris, we see double barrel action down in the bullpen with Kilpatrick and Gibbons. I'd say thrown a little bit more with urgency, Cody. Makia lifts that one up on a play. Riley just misses that one.
I'm a little bit surprised they came in and got as much of the plate there with Makia 3-1. Might have been inclined to pitch around him with a couple of bases open.
Especially as deadly as he has been here lately. Payoff. Off speed, swung through it. And down on strikes goes Riley Makia to end the inning. Strands the runner at third. It's still 1-0 for the United States. Top of the fourth. New Zealand and USA battling. Our first night here in Saskatoon at the Super 8 Four Nations Cup. Swing and a miss. Change up there by Liam Potts. He says, you throw one, I'll throw one.
Might be our first night at the Four Nations Cup, the Super 8 Four Nations Cup. It's my second night at the Super 8, though. I got in here a little earlier.
Swing and a miss, working away well outside. We had the good scouting report on hand when I arrived, that's for sure.
Had the restaurants and bars figured out.
We just got to find one that stays open a little bit later.
Yeah, I mean, I do love Saskatoon, and the people of Saskatchewan are awesome, but they do roll up the sidewalks a little early.
1-2.
And the places that do stay open late, Kyle, we're a little too old for them.
Yes, sir.
Maybe our good friends at Great Western Brewing Company can just leave a little gift in our room. That would be.
One hop and through. Matakatia can't find it and in to get it. Was Cooper Nicola covering. That one, a short hop. He really had no idea where it went after it went through him. And a heads-up play by Tikarika Cooper Nicola. As base has come dislodged. Might need a little assistance from the grounds crew, possibly.
I mean, that's unbelievable base running by Jonathan Lynch there. We'll wait and see. I guess that's an error on the second baseman, a two-base error. But just heads-up base running. That had not gotten that far away from Makia Matakatea. And just like we saw Beninoka take the extra base last inning, Jonathan Lynch does the same here in the fourth for the USA.
Yeah, heads-up base running. Once he realized Dante didn't know where that ball disappeared to, he was up and on to second base.
Tyler Johnson looks to change the score. That's been the same since the first batter of the night.
Johnson, that open stance. Throw down to second. You cannot sleep on Tuerta Bishop and his potent arm behind home plate.
They were trying to catch Lynch napping, but Lynch saw that the whole way, and I wonder, I couldn't hear it, but it seems to me someone yelled back real fast.
Lifted up foul. Johnson, little display that he wants that one back.
That's a good pitch, tough to get to.
Slight choke up on the bat. Right down the middle for strike two.
Yeah, if he may want to pitch back, it may be that one.
Slow that breathing on the 1-2. Just misses trying to paint that corner as they've done. Two. Swing and a miss. Good off-speed pitch there, Chris. And the willingness to throw it in any count shows a lot there from the lefty.
Well, that's a big strikeout for Liam Potts, given the fact that the leadoff runner was standing out there on second base to battle back and bear down against a hitter the caliber of Tyler Johnson. And Liam Potts has done a real nice job since coming into this game. He's had some traffic, no doubt, but he's navigated it well.
Misses the opener for ball one. And like you said off the bat, though, is consistently working ahead. Misses again, ball two. USA threatening a run here with a runner at second. Lynch peering over the shoulder of Potts to get some signs. Comes inside and hit by pitch is Nick Mullins.
Well, it was a good hitter's count for Mullins. He yanked one to the left side last time up.
Right off the elbow.
Yeah, it looked like a drop ball that just got away from Potts.
Yusuf Davis now at the plate. He had a ground ball back in the second inning. Potts works out and a swing and a miss. Kind of the same approach we saw back in that second inning, Chris. Staying away, make him go chasing. Trying to slap his way on.
Yeah, I was wondering if Davis might try a bunt or some small ball there. I couldn't get on top of the rise ball, and Potts is in a good spot right now.
Oh, 2 count. Lynch still at second. Roller. Marcatea on to first base.
Yeah, he only had one play there, and Davis runs well as well. So there was nothing easy about that.
Gets up the line in a hurry, that's for sure.
Also has to avoid train number 7 coming past him in Nick Mullins.
So 2-0 catcher puts Davis out at second base now. And Zach Shaw at the plate here. A lot of pitches, lots of deep counts. Nice block there by Bishop to keep that ball in front.
Yeah, and some good speed on third base in Lynch, so anything that gets just a little bit away could score that second run, and the way this game is going, every run is going to count here.
Chance to open this one up. Does Shaw. Potts. And again, that fouled off. Got a piece of Darryl Helmer. Umpires are taking a little bit of a knock around here tonight.
Darryl's been hit harder than that. He's all right. We were fortunate enough to work with Darryl in Mexico last year in Group A.
1-1. Punched out on the right side. Can't come up with it. Cooper Nicola went diving. And 2 runs come in to score. Is Davis easily going to get around that? Almost in between on whether to pick it at the shoelaces or slide for it.
A perfectly hit ball for Shaw in terms of where it landed. Cooper Nicola ends up trying to play it on a short hop anyhow and is unable to come up with it. That would have been, if he caught it, another potential for video review right there. It's a 2 RBI single, though, for Zach Shaw, and that's a big hit in this ballgame.
Yeah, it gives a little bit of breathing room here for the USA as that pitch misses for a ball. You know, USA they're methodically going about it, right? Putting runners on base. They had a big bop in the first, but, you know, they've had a couple runners on. Now they finally break through. I think the only thing we haven't seen them really try to do is drop a bunt down.
Yeah, and listen, it goes back to what I said earlier. No holes in this lineup. They've gotten 3 hits, and it's been scattered around, reaching on an error, hit by a pitch, finding a way to get guys on.
Pick up there by Bishop.
And you alluded earlier, Kyle, to New Zealand traditionally being the team that puts the pressure on. Well, the role has been reversed just a little bit right here.
2-1. Misses ball 3. 3 balls, 1 strike. Outside ball 4, and pair of runners on again, Chris, here for the U.S. as the top of the order now turns it over on the walk.
It's turning into a long inning for Liam Potts, Kyle. That's the 6th batter he's faced, and you wonder how much longer he will be out there. But a left-hander coming up in the form of Ochoa, so he'll at least stay for that.
Second time Eric has seen Liam Potts here tonight as they shuffle to the middle, and that one outside. Ball 1. Off and running. Evans luckily gets to that ball, and there's taking advantage heads up base running, Chris, on that defensive shift, because then it becomes just a foot race.
Absolutely, and that's an excellent job of adapting to the defensive strategy of New Zealand by Zach Shaw and USA. And it just goes to show if Shaw's coming at a full sprint and Evans has to quickly react and get over there, it's just not going to happen. Gotta love the way the U.S. is playing this inning.
Peek around, manufacturing runs. Lifted into Cole Evans' glove for the third out. But they push across 2 runs. Make it 3-0 here as we go to the bottom half of the 4th after this. Cody Gibbons on in relief here for Marco Diaz. He's the first one out of the bullpen. Young, hard-throwing Cody Gibbons. His first debut with the senior team. Young 18-year-old that was down in Mexico for the U18 Men's World Cup.
Yeah, Gibbons was used sparingly in Oklahoma City last year in the group stage.
This all about developing and getting experience for the future. As Gibbons comes hard set with it. Opens for strike 1.
Don't think there's any doubt about the ability of Gibbons. He needs some more seasoning, obviously,
for sure,
at this level. But the raw talent's certainly there.
That one gets away from Mullins. No, you're absolutely right. The tools of the trade, if you will, are there. It's now just giving it time to develop and get stronger. That one, I don't know if it bounced up and out, but it's an out at first as Milheim gathered and fired across the diamond.
That one is so frustrating as an infielder because there's nothing you can do except wait for it to come down. Meanwhile, you know that Cole Evans is burning down the baseline. A nice strong throw from Milheim. And Kyle, to finish your thought, I think, for you, yeah, Gibbons, very slight young man. He just needs to grow into his body and fill out a little bit more to give him, that extra little bit of power and stamina and push out there on the mound.
Yeah, club season with the Bear Creek Gremlins as the third pitcher on the depth chart, but also spending the summer up in Northern Ontario in Saugeen, playing for the Georgian Bay Giants as well. Cody, he comes in, took a little bit off that, and Inoka out in front. Thomas had a single back in the second inning.
Yeah, Inoka wasn't happy. He got fooled there. He smiled and shook his head and walked away. Not bad when you can fool Thomas Inoka.
And that ball lifted up, giving chase. Fair ball down the line. Thomas going to dig to second. He's head to third. Throw coming in. And stop sign for Thomas. That is, Chris, just an absolute well-placed base knock down the right field line, just falling inside of it and couldn't corral it.
Couple of things at play here. Tyler Johnson, as he's tracking this ball, is getting very close to the bullpen, and the foul territory kind of comes to a point or a wedge down there, and I wonder if he felt that he was getting close on top of the fact that it was a tough ball, he had to go a long way to track it down. Opposite field hit from Anoka.
Well, the other thing is nobody told the catcher to get out of the way. He was just kind of sitting in his crouch. So also had some other workarounds. So that sure didn't help in pursuit of that fly ball. As to where the Bishop now, he comes to the plate.
But whatever it is, it's a 1-out triple for Anoka.
Thomas was on his horse right from the get. Found his way around and standing in scoring position again here. He was stranded at third the last time. As Bishop looks to put a mark here for New Zealand.
With the Anoka brothers with all 3 hits for New Zealand. 2 of them of the extra base variety. And the single turned into extra bases when Thomas stole second, back in the second.
Huerta had a home run back Monday night against the Dominican. And it wasn't a cheap home run either. As you said earlier, he's got power to go with it. It's putting it together against these top, tough throwers. As the count runs 2-2. Skipped into the dirt. Ball 3, full count.
Nick Mullins is earning his per diem back there this inning. As he usually does. Most times when he leaves the ballpark, his uniform is not the same color as when he got here.
3-2.
Oh,
Change up. Swing and a miss. 2 in the inning. That is the one pitch that Cody has in his back pocket, and I can tell you from experience, he is not afraid to throw it in any count.
well, Bishop wasn't expecting it, that's for sure.
That pitch misses, ball 1.
Pretty good pitch, ball 1.
Check swing. Foul.
Well, it say a lot about Gibbons and his ability to potentially strand a runner at third base after a 1-out triple.
Easier said than done for guys, right? It's finding it in yourself to push back.
Well, anybody can pitch with nobody on base.
Yeah. Two-1. Misses ball 3. It's similar situation as what Justin Schofield walked into trying to close that game down. It's 3-0. Chance to turn this game around here for New Zealand. That little roller. Glove hand flip. On time at first. Strand that runner at third. And New Zealand fails to mark here in the bottom of the 4th.
Tough play for Zach Shaw, and he made it look so routine. He had to charge that and then put it out.
Welcome to Mont Hill Golf and Country Club. With our beautiful 27-hole golf course open to the public, we work tirelessly to ensure your time with us is second to none. Well, here you'll be able to enjoy an incredible dining experience at our very own Big Pete's Steakhouse. Play some of the best courses in the world with our state-of-the-art golf simulators. Upgrade your gear with the top brands at our pro shop, or host a stunning wedding, event, or conference inside one of our beautiful ballrooms. Learn all this and more at monthill.ca. We can't wait to see you soon.
Back to Bob Van Im in the Gordie Howe Sports Complex. Kyle Smith, Chris Abbott here with you. Here come the changes, Chris, as we were kind of anticipating that we'd see on a night like tonight. Tane Mumu checks into the ball game for Dante Makia Matakatia over at second base. It's a new catcher, Cam Watts, who checks in for Tawerda Bishop. And Pita Rona on in relief of Liam Potts. Rona opens for strike one. Tall, lanky right-hander. Of course, the son forging his own way of New Zealand Black Sox lore, Brad Rona.
Well, I was on my way into the broadcast booth here tonight, and I was met by a picture of Brad Rona on the wall out in the Saskatoon Sports Hall of Fame, where they've got murals, collages dedicated to the World Championships out here in both 2009 and 2015.
Off speed, and there's the change from Rona. And it's devastating for sure. We saw that a lot last summer in Prince Albert. 1-2 pitch. Rise ball, swing and a miss by Milheim. He's down on strikes.
So do you think Brad ever gets in and takes a few hacks?
I'm sure at one point he probably did.
I mean, if you're a Pitta, that's pretty good training ground to learn how to beat a hitter.
Off speed, 57 from Rona. And we're back to Ben Watts getting loose in the bullpen. One hop, neatly played by Ramaki.
Hard drop ball, and Schiller pounds that into the ground, gets a true hop out at first, and Ray Mackey will make the easy unassisted play.
Jonathan Lynch now. He comes to the plate. First pitch swinging. Reached on an air and a strikeout here tonight for Lynch.
You can see it pretty well on our screen right now, Kyle. The sky is full on dusk. The lights are in their full effect here on the field.
0-1. Off speed. Ball one.
And shout out to the chat. That lets us know that Brad still plays against him at the club level back home.
There we go. Now the question is for the chat, who's won more at bats? Pitta or Brad? Rona. That one lifted out, knuckleballing out into left center. It falls in for a base hit as Lynch takes it off the end of the bat. So he's reached base twice here, a single and error. And now that one sets the table with two down. Extends the inning here to Tyler Johnson.
Well, I guess when Brad left his cleats on home plate in Whitehorse, he had another pair back home.
That was by a new set. International versus domestic. Working outside. Ball one.
He pretty much did all there was to do at this level.
And then some.
You know, it's a long flight. You know, just take it off. Head home.
Short hop. Evans on to first, and boy, that's smooth as silk at short is Cole Evans. Played it, smothered it on the ground.
Yeah, Evans has been outstanding as advertised tonight. Picks up that second short hop. No panic in Evans' game either. And he makes the play across the diamond. We're still looking at a 3-0 U.S. lead heading to the bottom of the fifth. No, it is 36. Braden Ducharme at second, 36.
With you here. Frank Kimlinger is out in center field now. And it's Braden Ducharme is over at second now. Ducharme boys fresh off of U18 cycle down in Mexico not too long ago. So both teams now going to their benches more than we saw in the first game.
Well, if it was anything but one pitching change for either team, that's all we saw in the first game. We saw Onodera come in for Aikita, and we saw Schofield enter for McCullough, and everyone else stayed the exact same.
Right down the heart for strike one. Cody, 2-1 pitch. Come inside, misses ball 3.
That pitch looked okay from where we were, but Mullins never came up with it. I'm just going to get a second look at this here. No, it wasn't that good.
Drop ball misses for ball 4. So Raimaki gets the lead off walk. I think we're going to see a pinch runner here, Chris.
We are.
Number 24, Seth Gibson, to run for Jerome.
Kyle Smith was all over that before Daryl Helmer could even report it back here at the scorer's table.
Daryl did a really good job at enunciating his changes that time.
Well, he did give us the wrong number.
He did.
On Braden Ducharme, but I would never call him out on that on the broadcast.
Bunt attempt, it goes foul here from Tane Mumu. Moo U23 program as well.
So we talked last inning about Gibbons working around runners on base.
There's a bunt. Moo got it down, but retired at first. So move the runner 60 feet.
Good job by Gibbons to field the position. Real nice bunt from Moo. Almost perfect. But everything done well. Talk about the youngsters. Gibbons with the play. Ducharme with the cover.
Yeah, I've been really impressed with the Ducharme boys from watching them down in Mexico and then now in the open circuit. Again, similar story to Gibbons. Lots to learn and figure out in this game, but they are showing all signs of that happening quickly.
Well, they're being thrown into the fire, that's for sure. Toss you in the deep end and see if you know how to swim.
Find out pretty quick generally.
Any other cliches I can come up with, I'll work on them for the rest of the week.
Check swing foul. For New Zealand, we talked about, they were squaring up. Marco Diaz just couldn't find it in for a base hit. They've punched a couple now. Here, 3 as Inoka just misses that one on the back, on the bottom side. It goes up, and Schiller will make the catch. 2 down, and now Tikarika Cooper Nicola at the plate for New Zealand. To the corner for a strike. We talked about it in the earlier game about turnover on rosters. New Zealand in the midst of it. USA has definitely turned that roster over, and they are in the thick of it in terms of rebuilding and being present in present day.
But you can clearly do both at the same time.
Yeah. .78 on the outside drop. Swing and miss. Ends the inning and sends us to the top half of the 6th after this. Top half of the 6th inning as you slide in here with myself and Chris Abbott on day number 1 at the Super 8 Four Nations Cup. Of course, want to say thanks to the sponsors here this weekend. Super 8 Hotel by Wyndham on Circle Drive. Super 8's 6th international event sponsoring here in Saskatoon. Discover Saskatoon, Softball Canada, Rawlings Canada with the player of the games. And, of course, the Great Western Brewing Company.
Still have not gotten an original 16 dropped off in the booth here yet, but I'm told that we have to wait until we're done.
Inside misses to Mullins for ball 1. Nick reached base and scored back in the 4th on a hit by pitch. That one misses.
I'm wondering, Kyle, if in Prince Albert we will... Did they have it last year, the big Great Western beer can in the outfield?
No.
No, the inflatable beer can?
It was too wet that they didn't put that up. It was, I believe it actually was up by the bar behind us, actually. Where we were in the press box, it was behind us. Three and one. Rona misses on the top side, ball 4. So a leadoff walk to Mullins.
Second time Nick Mullins has reached today. He was hit by a pitch, now a walk. And he was completely robbed of a base hit back in the second as well on a diving play by Cole Evans.
So Kimlinger now at the plate. He takes that first pitch, hacking.
So Kimlinger replaces Yusuf Davis, who was 0 for 2 with a couple of ground outs.
But was run number 3 is acting for Nick Mullins. In for a call to strike. Staying in the game defensively was Seth Gibson, Chris, as he's over at first base after pinch running for Jerome. Oh, 2. Good rise ball there. Swings and misses. Does Kimlinger. That was a tight spun rise ball.
Yeah, he wasn't even really close to this one. You can see great view here as it starts at the hips and ends up over the head of Frank Kimlinger.
Mullins at first. Braden Ducharme now. He takes and swings at the first pitch. Didn't really want to, but it's called a strike.
Ducharme not with the squad, either of the Ducharmes not with the squad in Oklahoma City last year.
Rise ball, throw down. Just checking in on Nick Mullins.
I'm curious to watch, Kyle, as this tournament and then the World Cup go on, how aggressive New Zealand is trying to pick guys off on the bases.
Off speed misses as Watts had to reach back across.
That was one of those where the catcher has to reach back, but that might have been a strike. Just doesn't look like one.
Two 2-1. Drop misses 3-1, but you're right on the aggressiveness behind the plate to where the Bishop likes to be active, and with his arm strength, he really likes to flex his muscle. I think when the opportunity's there, they're not afraid to take it. Off and running, but ball 4 to Ducharme.
So 2 walks in 3 batters here to start the 6th inning for Pitterona. Not what the doctor ordered, as you walk the number 7 and number 9 hitters.
To the top of the order, and Jeff Lewis, he opened our game with a leadoff home run. Called strike 1.
That's a nice get-right drop ball there from Ronan.
Yeah, find your way back to the strike zone. Really good pitch. Pitta trying to bunt that one down. It goes foul. Something you don't always see on your scorecard, Chris, is a DP leading off the game. And they're bunting 1 attempt.
Well, Lewis is happy to do it any way you want, and he's so versatile that, yeah, fine, he's the DP, whatever. But he's great in that number 1 spot.
0-2. Off speed. Checked on the swing. He held it up. I think Cameron wants to know where'd that miss. He might have headed as a strike just on its own merit. Count now 1-2.
Watt's very active behind the plate, Kyle, and late. And I wonder if that costs him strikes.
There's the painted corner called strike 3.
Never mind.
They said you didn't give it to me on the first time. How about on the second? And Daryl Helmer obliges for the second out. A 2-out catcher for Mullins.
Yeah, that's Jeff Lewis running at second base. Ducharme remains at first after his walk.
And now Eric Ochoa at the plate. He's 1 for 3 tonight. Ball 1. You know, as you set up this weekend, all about getting guys in, and these teams have done that. Set the table for what's about to come down the pipeline at you. Diaz looked solid in his outing. I would say New Zealand has muddled their way through from the pitcher circle, as now they go 3 heavy on the right. Now we'll split it back to the left and getting around. There goes the runner, off and running. Throw down! Got him! Caught stealing at third. Will end the inning. Almost like they drew it up to try and entice him into swiping the bag. U.S. down for the inning, but they're out in front, 3-0. Some more substitutions, Chris. Tyler Damon checks into the ball game for Nick Mullins. As well, you'll notice it's a different look on the mound for the USA as Brad Kilpatrick will find his way to the circle.
So by my math, Kyle, Brennan Ducharme remains the only player on the USA bench. Everyone else has entered the game.
That checks out. Good job.
Thank you very much. I'll be back tomorrow.
Top notch. Riley Macchia will lead things off here. He is 0 for 1 with a hit by pitch. You hear a little bit more energy from New Zealand here this inning. As that one paints in for call to strike. Brad Kilpatrick wasn't with the team last summer for the qualifier. Was tied up with his coaching duties with the Washington Huskies of the NCAA. Brad, one of the assistant coaches on staff with Heather Tarr and Jen Salling.
No, Diaz did most of the lifting last year, 22 innings. Gibbons threw 8. John Guizdala had 3, and Javier Caballero with 1.
As that pitch misses, Kilpatrick wondering whereabouts they went by the wayside. It was Kilpatrick in 22 down in New Zealand who willed the team to a bronze medal on gutsy pitching performances. Kilpatrick, of course, expat Aussie, but his dad is an American, so he has dual citizenship. And
the Aussies had a couple of guys hogging the rubber for a few
Yeah.
years there.
Back-to-back walks to start things here for Kilpatrick, who on the club season has looked pretty good thus far. Just trying to find his way here in his outing. And as we said earlier, Chris, this is why you work these bugs out.
Yeah, just like that, tying run is at the plate.
And kid yourself not, Thomas Inoka can do that in one swing.
A single and a triple tonight.
Turning to bunt his way on.
This is the third pitcher that Inoka has faced in this game.
We have definitely seen a lot more changes than we did in the first game, like we expected. And that ball gets lifted up to left center. That's ball going to carry on the run. One hop to the fence. Watch you don't catch up to Maki. He's on his horse. He's right behind him. 1-2. Boy, you talk about catching up. Cole Evans almost. He could have reached out and touched him, but Thomas comes through with a 2 RBI double for the Black Sox.
And this, Kyle, is off the base of the fence or just short hops off the warning track. A heck of an effort out there by Kimlinger. Doesn't come up with it. And, yeah, don't blink. One step behind the other. It's 3-2. The tying run's at second, and there's still nobody out here in the bottom of the 6th.
And again, another shot, Chris, that I thought off the bat had a chance. Balls are just kind of dying out there in the wind.
Yeah, anything to left or left center is getting held up by the wind that's blowing across the field from that direction. How about a 3-for-3 night for Thomas Inoka?
Coming at you in the 5 spot.
And 6 total bases.
Yet to score a run.
Challenge to the bottom of the order.
Now it's Cam Watts at the plate. He's going to bunt foul.
Well, that bunt was electric coming off the bat. I don't know that that's what he was looking to do, unless he was trying to push it past a charging Ochoa.
Thomas Makia runs through the signs at third base. Interesting situation of brewing here. Kilpatrick busted in for ball 2. Ben Watts is still loosening down in the bullpen. So the question would be, what do you do in the 7th? Excuse me, in the top of the 7th. Do you go to Watts? Do you only let Rona throw 2? That's been the equation thus far. 2, 2, and 2.
I would say you stick with whatever your game plan was coming in, and remember that this is a warm-up event.
And I think, judging by how hard Watts is throwing, he's coming into the game as that ball gets fouled off.
Make no mistake, this has been an exciting ball game, the second one we've had tonight, and it's hopefully a harbinger of things to come for the rest of the 10 or so days that we have ahead of us. But this is a warm-up event. You have to stick with what your plan was coming in.
Well, and we talked about it in the Canada game. It's about coming in and shutting the door, right? And how do you find your way? How do you manage the intensity? Now, let's be real. The intensity in a World Cup game will be different than what it is here, but it's still mounting pressure, trying to close the door. It's a 2-2 count here to Cameron Watts. Misses ball 3, 3-2. As Kilpatrick, on in relief of Gibbons, has worked himself into a little bit of trouble. Brad, payoff, misses, ball 4, 3 walks here in the inning. Will bring Reese Evans to the plate, and a visit from Gerald Muslar, the pitching coach for the United States.
Tell you what, we got some pitching coaches in this game. And those guys get loose or what? Wow, a couple of Hall of Famers. And the U.S. has used its pitcher Diaz back in, which I don't think is happening tonight.
Yeah.
This is on Kilpatrick.
And like you just talked about, it's that game plan you had coming in.
Right.
Stay with that game plan as Gerald Muslar will exit stage, right? I mean, he could always go get loose, like you said. I'm sure he's got a couple innings left in that right arm.
It's funny, we were talking about Randy Frame and Chris Hopewell earlier.
That one up for an out.
Well, that's very fortunate for the Americans. As Reese Evans was looking to lay down a bunt, instead pops it up to Blaine Milheim. And that lets him off the hook just a little bit. That's the first out of the inning, though.
Seth Gibson. That one handcuffs Damon behind the plate.
Anyway, to finish that thought, Muslar, of course, Canadian, was pitching the win in like 1990 something or other at the National. The guys from outside the chute posted.
Yep, 98. As that gets in for a strike. Muslar, Jody Henniger.
Saw a big guy with Abbott on his back on that winning team as well.
A lot younger.
He was a lot
Colin
younger.
Abbott.
He was a lot younger than 98. He would have been 28 years old. Colin will turn 55 this year.
One, two. Tying run at second. Nice little hook there from Kilpatrick, peeling away from Gibson.
Speaking of hooks, will Kilpatrick be able to wiggle off this one as he's retired 2 in a row? And we're going to get a pinch hitter in the 9 spot.
Ohippa Monk is at the plate. So Tane Mumu lifted for Ohippa Monk. Interesting development on this change. Monk must going to get lifted and Matakatea go back to second base. Brad comes in on the plate.
Monk, last year, 3 for 7 in limited action in the group stage. Double and a home run, though. He made the most of it.
In for call to strike. They have used all their subs, has New Zealand tonight. Ohippa, the last one off the bench. Here for Thomas Inoka, or Thomas Makia. Rise ball well out of the zone. 1 and 2. Brad swung on. That ball gets up and out and foul. Caught in left field. Thomas Makia was right in the way.
I can't believe that ball stayed in the ballpark, and it was that close to being fair. The wind must be howling out there.
It's got to be swirling to knock it down. Because, that ball went a mile high, if not 10 mile long.
Off the bat, I thought way foul into the parking lot. And instead, it was knocked down and a lazy fly ball, almost as it were. Well, New Zealand cuts the lead 3-2. We're off to the 7th. Exciting finish coming up.
Top of 7 as Early has gotten late here in Saskatoon. It'll be Eric Ochoa who leads things off for the United States.
Yeah, well, it's early Friday most everywhere else in the world. There's only a couple of time zones still playing Thursday ball. We're in one of them. So New Zealand has completely emptied the bench, and now we're back around to re-entering starters.
Yep, Dante Makia Matakatea has checked back in, as has the starter Ben Watts. Right off the hands, that goes up. Cam Can't get it, bobbled it, shuffled it, and not get the out as Seth Gibson couldn't squeeze it.
That is a whole lot of bad softball right there is what that is. It's a pop-up that Ochoa does not run out. Again, looked like it was going foul. Wynn brings it back fair off the catcher. He scrambles to pick it up. Ochoa realizes what he's done. The throw unable to be picked up by Gibson. And we are going to strike that from the record of softball ever again. Let's delete that file. It's bad for the sport.
I think that shows, like we've talked about, that wind swirling
absolutely
brings
like
that
was,
one
yeah.
like into fair territory.
Yeah.
Because it starts in foul territory.
So that'll go down as E2. And really, Gibson probably could have caught that as well. But we'll just call it an error and leave it be.
So it's Blaine Milheim now at the plate. I'll say this, Chris. Ben Watts looks a whole heck of a lot more comfortable.
Well, I
on the mound.
really like him getting the chance to come back in. And Kyle, we're talking about the win. I'm looking at the baseball field beyond.
Yeah.
And there's some flags on the scoreboard over there. And we're talking like Wrigley Field like you've never seen before wins. So I'm going to give the fielders a pass on dropping those pop-ups or having a hard time tracking them down because that is crazy wind out there. We're in a little bit of a, I don't know if we're in a little bit
protected
of a valley
for sure.
Protection here. But even the flags at center field in our park versus the ones that are higher in the baseball field, it's hard to believe that they're even close to each other. Yeah.
That one misses on the top side. So a walk and an error has put 2 runners on here. We are going to have a pinch runner, number 16, and I think this is the last substitution off the bench.
That's it. Congratulations. The participation medals are out. Everybody's into the game.
So Brennan Ducharme, if my memory is half as good. It is. He is running for Ochoa.
And Kyle, you would never, ever, as a manager, empty your bench like this.
No.
In a World Cup game.
No.
This is the warm-up tournament here, the Four Nations Cup. And everybody has crossed the white lines. Literally could not be any more different from the strategy Canada and Japan employed. No subs to all the subs.
One-0. That rise misses. And you've seen getting these guys in the games, and the contrast, I think, when you think about it, Chris, is in our first game, it was a lot of the rookies that started, or a lot of the young guys that started, as that ball's going to get punched out to left. Thomas is under it. He'll make the catch and throw that one back in. But just to finish that thought, it was the younger guys and the guys coming back into the fold who got the start, and I think that's the key there, is getting them the experience, whereas this now, it was vets who started, and now the young guys are coming in and getting that experience on the back end.
100%. And that, again, that ball from Schiller was well struck, and then the wind just absolutely killed it.
The wind is ruining a good ball game.
Well, it's certainly
We've had a lot more offensive opportunities.
It's certainly a factor. There's no doubt about it.
Hey, I'll give you a gold star on your observation skills here in class, picking up that wind in center field with the flags stiffly breezing. I mean, that is great observation skills by you.
Shout out to LASIK MD, downtown Toronto, Ontario. A few years ago, I couldn't see that far.
Yeah?
Yeah. Free plug. We don't have competing sponsors, I don't think.
No free plugs. 1-1. Swing and a miss. Great drop there from Ben Watts.
It's gotten significantly colder as the sun's gone down here in Saskatoon as well.
Yeah, looking ahead to the forecast, mid-20s next week, lows of 13 in the evening. Good thing I packed a sweatshirt. 1-2. One hop. Evans flipped to 2 for 1. I think a heads-up play there by Cole, realizing he maybe would have been pressed for the out at first.
I mean, I've seen Cole Evans play before, but every time I watch him, I mean, he makes it look so easy. That's not an easy play.
No.
There's nothing easy about that. There's I mean, just the defense we have to look forward to next week. Like, especially, you know, when Venezuela gets here and Angel Adames, like, that guy is unbelievable up the middle.
Yeah, you know, and talking about it on Outside the Shoot today that everybody gets to listen to on Monday.
That's a free plug.
Yep, I'm okay with that one though. I was on the show, and it'll help draw listenership. But it's the difference, and I think you and I were talking about it on the way over. Like, an air will control your destiny, possibly, as that got all of our friend Daryl Helmer behind the plate. But it's the extra outs that you're giving these teams that are going to come back and get you, and you're not in a position to give those opportunities.
Yeah, that caught Daryl not in the shin pads this time. But
you heard about the Sask Berries. I think they won 23-1 or something like that, we were told.
21-4.
Yeah. The Berries picked up a big win here tonight.
I heard they squared it up pretty good.
Took the brunt force outside. Misses ball 2.
But I tell you what, like, for the baseball game, for the Berries, if the wind was blowing like that out over the scoreboard, there was probably 17 home runs in that game.
Are you saying Quentin Bruce's was wind aided earlier tonight?
Well, you know what? It certainly didn't hurt it.
One hop. That is not Mumu. That is Dante Makea Matakatea, who makes that play in the hole at second. We'll come back with New Zealand coming to bat in the bottom of the 7th. Last call here in the bottom half of the 7th for the Black Sox. And talk about being right in the thick of it. Benny Noka, Tikirika, Cooper, Nicola, and Riley Macchia. 1, 2, 3 in the batting order. Due up here for the Black Sox. And we know there's not going to be any pinch hitters this inning, Chris, because we've used our substitutions.
Yeah,
here in the ball game.
There's nobody to re-enter at the top of this Maybe if it gets down to Bishop, but
And misses. Brad Kilpatrick is just a little bit befuddled of the strike zone here tonight.
he's just not getting the finish on that drop
Yeah.
ball on the arm side of the plate. That's a bit better.
In
but he had
for
to
strike.
He had to come in and get a lot of the plate for that, and you don't want to do that too often either.
Especially to this guy, because he has done some damage over his career. Three balls and a strike. Good hitters count here. And Benny punches that into right field. So a leadoff single on for New Zealand.
Hey, a good hitter's count for a good hitter, and that's what you do when you're Ben Anoka. You saw that Kilpatrick was trying to work away, so he took it away. And the tying run is now at first.
In for call to strike. Wind now blowing in through the press box. Is that one in at the knees for call to strike? Nothing in two. U.S. has bent, but they have not broke. Broke? Broke.
Broken.
Have not broke.
Broken.
One, two. Good spin there from Kilpatrick as it gets fouled off. Tomorrow, we get to do it all over again. We'll lead things off with the United States and Japan. Follow up with Canada, New Zealand on the late game as that ball fouled off.
And the interesting part about tomorrow, Kyle, is that those are games that will happen in the round robin in Prince Albert. How much are you going to show the team you're going to play in the round robin? For Canada, New Zealand, that's going to be specifically important.
Called strike three. Looking down goes Cooper Nicola as Riley Macchia now will step to the plate. And you're absolutely right. That is kind of a, not that there's any secrets anymore for all the time these guys play each other, but I know there are secrets and you want to keep things and don't show guys and that. So it'll be interesting to see where we get tomorrow night. That one comes to the shoulder of Riley Macchia.
That's a changeup in a one-run game in the seventh. I don't believe that's intentional.
There's a little, there's some looking
I know
going on.
But I don't think there's anything there. Now, Macchia's been thrown inside a bunch tonight, and I'm sure that's what it's about, but if you're going to get hit by a pitch,
For sure.
Change up in the elbow pad is the way to go.
So Cole Evans now, as pressure mounts, worked himself into a dizzy last inning, has given up the single, now the hit by pitch and a strikeout as Kilpatrick has come in and had a wobbly outing.
Yep, again, that same pitch, he's not able to find it on the outside drop ball, and then he's got to bring it in a little more, and that's where you can get in trouble.
Time called as Evans stepped out. Misses ball three. Man, sitting dead red 3-0.
Does he have the green light here?
I would think so. Takes up and in ball four. Load the bases here in the bottom of the seventh.
It's the fourth.
Here comes Gerald. Yep.
That's the fourth base on balls issued by Kilpatrick. Add in a hit batter.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I kind of said, right? Was he's really struggled with command. He struggled to find that depth. And a good visit here from Gerald just to slow things down, right? He, after hitting Makia 4 straight pitches to Cole Evans, now loads the bases, and your tying run is 60 feet away.
And only the guy who has killed you all night and is a home run away from the cycle, Thomas Anoka, stepping to the plate.
Well, here we go. 1 out. Inoka at the plate. And I'm not going to say it, but one swing would make some noise.
Hey, man. It's always cool to see someone hit for the cycle. But the winning run is at second base, so a single could do it.
For sure. Saw punches through Makia. He's getting the wave. He's going to come around and score standing. And a walk-off RBI single. Thomas Inoka goes 4 for 4. 2 singles, a triple, a double. And 4 RBIs.
Not a bad day at the office.
For a Thursday night, I think you'll take it.
Oh, man. What a night for Thomas Anoka. And New Zealand walks off the USA here in the bottom of the 7th inning. And too many walks by Kilpatrick eventually with the difference in the late innings. 2 in the 6th, 2 in the 7th. New Zealand come from behind to win it 4-3.
Well, it was a good ball game. And ultimately, New Zealand just never really gave up. Fought their way through. And come up with a walk-off win. And I think, Chris, as we look to the scorebook to help our friends out on players of the game, we'll have that here momentarily. We'll turn things over to the PA announcer.
Is Mike Frenchel from Softball Canada as he presents the Rawlings Canada Players of the Game. For New Zealand, 4 for 4 with 4 RBIs, Thomas Inoka. And from the United States, Jonathan Lynch. Congratulations, gentlemen. Welcome to the game tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back here at Bob Andrews Stadium tomorrow night at 6 p.m. for the United States versus Japan, and followed by Canada versus New Zealand at 8:15 p.m.
Well, what a day for day number 1 here in Saskatoon at the Super 8 International Men's Four Nations Cup. Chris Abbott, a tale of 2 different ball games, quite frankly. One that ultimately New Zealand makes the comeback and wins, and the story, Devin McCullough, 5 innings of perfect ball.
Yeah, I think if you're picking your players of the night, Devin McCullough for Canada, Thomas Anoka for New Zealand. But this is just the first day of 10 more days, maybe 11 depending on the weather here in Saskatchewan. And if this is what we're setting up for, it's going to be amazing, Kyle. And so far today we saw veteran guys getting things done. We saw Max Major for Canada come up with a big hit. We saw some youngsters on the mound for New Zealand getting a taste. All in all, this is going to be fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Let alone this event, the rest of the week that we're here in Saskatchewan. From a broadcast partner, Chris Abbott, for Claudio and Carol and Softball Premier TV, we bid you adieu from Bob Van Impe Stadium at the Gordie Howe Sports Complex. We'll see you tomorrow night, 6 o'clock local. It's U.S. and Japan. Followed up with by the rivalry in softball, Canada, New Zealand at 8:15. Until then, good night from Saskatchewan.
Welcome to Mont Hill Golf and Country Club. With our beautiful 27-hole golf course open to the public, we work tirelessly to ensure your time with us is second to none. Well, here you'll be able to enjoy an incredible dining experience at our very own Big Pete's Steakhouse. Play some of the best courses in the world with our state-of-the-art golf simulators. Upgrade your gear with the top brands at our pro shop, or host a stunning wedding, event, or conference inside one of our beautiful ballrooms. Learn all this and more at monthill.ca. We can't wait to see you soon.
I gotta get a haircut at some point.
Are you guys looking for a place to go for a beer or something there? Yeah. There's a so if you're out in front of Super 8 looking at like Home Depot, right across the street there, you go like about
Is it the Ale House?
10 blocks west of there, so out and to the right there's the Red Zone and the Travel Lodge. Sports bar.
Yeah, how there are they open though?
Should be open.
The Shark Club closes early.
Also then